Earth had long been branded by the galaxy as a weak, splintered remnant, a relic of a bygone era, a planet whose people had succumbed to internal strife and environmental ruin. Beneath a sky scarred by pollution and artificial satellites, humanity trudged along a path of reluctant survival, burdened by centuries of self-inflicted wounds and a reputation of fragility. But within the hearts of a few, a fire still burned, a burning desire to prove that what was seen as weakness could in fact be the wellspring of strength. In the sprawling underground corridors of New London, a city rebuilt from the ruins of its old self, Commander Marcus Trent stood before a massive holovid display in the council chamber. The room, with its cracked domed ceiling and dim flickering lights, echoed with murmurs of doubt and despair. On the screen, ancient battles played out like ghostly specters, each clash a testament to humanity's turbulent past. Yet, as Trent studied the footage, his gaze was not one of regret, but of resolute determination. Every scar, every defeat was a lesson, a reminder that survival had always been a prelude to resurgence. "Do you see it?" Trent asked his closest aide, a wiry man with eyes that had witnessed too many lost wars. "In every failure lies the seed of our comeback. They call us weak because we've bled in the open, because we've suffered openly. But there's power in that vulnerability, a power born from the will to rise again." His words, heavy with conviction, resonated in the silent room, stirring a quiet hope among those who had long been resigned to Earth's fate. Across the chamber, heated debates erupted among the assembled diplomats and scientists. Some clung to the narrative of inevitability, arguing that humanity's internal chaos had doomed it to mediocrity. Others, like Dr. Alina Miles, a brilliant xenohistorian whose eyes sparkled with the promise of rediscovered secrets, contended that Earth's storied past held untapped reservoirs of ingenuity. Elena believed that buried deep in the forgotten ruins of ancient technology lay a hidden power, a legacy left behind by Earth's forebears that could alter the very fabric of space-time itself. As tension swirled, a sudden burst of static filled the council room's speakers, a transmission from deep space, crackling with mysterious urgency. The signal was unlike anything seen before. A cryptic series of coordinates, interwoven with fragments of mathematical formulas and symbols. The room fell into a hush, every eye fixed on the display. In that moment, the veneer of weakness that had defined humanity began to crack. "Is this a call for help? Or a challenge?" whispered Lieutenant Rena Santos, a tactical genius whose calm under fire had earned her a reputation far beyond the confines of Earth's battered defenses. Her question hung in the air, loaded with both trepidation and excitement. The signal was a riddle, a message that suggested there were forces in the galaxy willing to test humanity's resolve. And perhaps, more intriguingly, it hinted at the existence of powers that even the alien empires had feared. In the following hours, as scientists raced to decipher the code and military strategists contemplated its implications, Commander Trent gathered a select group of officers in a secure, dimly lit briefing room. Maps of the known universe were pinned to the walls, marked with potential hotspots of alien intrigue. "This transmission," Trent began, his voice a low rumble, "is more than just an anomaly. It's a wake-up call. They think we're weak because of our past. But what they don't understand is that every hardship has honed us, every defeat has tempered us. We are resilient, unyielding in the face of adversity." His words carried the weight of experience and the promise of a new beginning. As the meeting progressed, plans were laid out not only to investigate the origin of the signal, but also to prepare Earth's defenses for the possibility of an imminent interstellar confrontation. The Council, once divided by cynicism and despair, began to coalesce around a singular vision to transform humanity's perceived frailty into its greatest strength. Outside, as the neon glow of orbital platforms cut through the night and the hum of distant spacecraft filled the air, the people of New London began to stir. In the labyrinthine streets, where the echoes of ancient ruins met the pulse of modern life, whispers of change circulated like wildfire. Ordinary citizens, who had long accepted the label of weakness, now found themselves infused with a rebellious hope. They dared to dream of a future where Earth was not just a footnote in galactic history, but a beacon of unyielding resolve. That night, as the city's remnants glowed with a tentative optimism, Commander Trent recorded a message meant for posterity, and for those who would follow in his footsteps. "We may be branded weak," he said into the recorder, his voice steady and resolute, "but our spirit is unbreakable. Our scars are not symbols of defeat, but of the battles we have fought to survive. Let this be the day we cast aside the illusion of fragility. The galaxy will soon see that what we lack in inherited might, we make up for in heart and in courage." In that defining moment, the stage was set for humanity's transformation. The mysterious signal pulsed in the background, a silent herald of the challenges to come. And as Earth's defenders prepared to embrace a destiny that was as uncertain as it was audacious, one thing became clear. The era of hiding behind the mask of weakness was over. The spark of rebellion had been lit, and in its glow, humanity saw not an end, but the brilliant promise of a future forged in the crucible of adversity. Barely a fortnight after the cryptic transmission had set hearts aflame, Earth's long-simmering tensions exploded into chaos. The stillness of space above New London shattered when a colossal armada of alien warships materialized out of the cosmic void. They descended with a precision that belied their brutal intent, their dark hulls glistening under the light of distant stars as they closed in on Earth's orbital defenses. High above the beleaguered surface, aboard the retrofitted orbital command station Eclipse, Commander Marcus Trent found himself thrust into the eye of a storm that was as sudden as it was devastating. The station's vast observation dome provided a panoramic view of the alien fleet, a menacing parade of sleek, angular vessels armed with energy cannons that pulsed with lethal intent. The cold hum of computers and the crackle of intercoms were punctuated by urgent orders and the rapid tapping of keys as his team scrambled to mount a defense. "Status report," Trent barked into the comlink, his voice steady despite the chaos unfolding before him. "Sir, multiple enemy squadrons have breached our outer perimeter. They're targeting our communication relays and power arrays," came the terse response from Lieutenant Jonas Vega, his face illuminated by the glow of tactical monitors. As the first salvo of alien plasma sliced through the vacuum, a shockwave of explosive light lit up the station's viewport. Panels shuddered under the impact, alarms wailed, and the world outside transformed into a swirling maelstrom of destruction. Yet amidst the rising panic, Trent's eyes narrowed with resolve. This was not the time for despair. It was the moment to ignite the long-dormant spark of rebellion that had been waiting beneath Earth's scars. Down on the battle-scarred surface, Lieutenant Rena Santos, renowned for her razor-sharp tactical acumen, was already at the helm of Earth's fighter command. From a forward operating base, nestled within the remnants of what had once been a bustling metropolis, she coordinated the scramble of hastily reactivated fighter squadrons. "All wings converge on Sector 7, she ordered through her headset, her voice a blend of urgency and unyielding confidence. "Remember, we're not just defending, we're fighting for every soul on Earth." Her words cut through the cacophony of explosions and frantic chatter, infusing the beleaguered pilots with a newfound determination. In the cockpit of her nimble starfighter, Rena executed evasive maneuvers that danced along the edge of mortal danger, weaving through enemy fire with a grace that belied the peril of the encounter. Each calculated barrel roll and every precise volley of laser fire was a defiant response to centuries of underestimation. Back at Eclipse, Commander Trent marshaled his forces with a strategy born from desperation and a fierce belief in humanity's resilience. "We've been branded weak for too long," he declared to his gathered officers, his voice echoing in the command chamber as if it were a battle cry. "Tonight we show them that our scars are our strength. Prepare to engage every hostile unit with everything we've got." Under his command, Earth's defenders initiated a counteroffensive that combined guerrilla tactics with the newfound experimental technologies unearthed from ancient Earth archives. Automated turrets, hidden on orbital platforms, sprang to life. Modified fighter drones, once relegated to training exercises, joined the fray, their engines roaring as they launched coordinated strikes against the enemy fleet. The station's strategic brilliance was in full display as missile salvos and focused laser beams converged on the alien vessels, each hit sending cascades of sparks into the void. Aboard the flagship Eclipse, as explosions rocked the outer hull, Lieutenant Vega reported, "Sir, enemy formations are splitting. Our coordinated assault is fracturing their lines." The words, though brief, ignited a spark of hope. Across the sprawling network of Earth's forces, communications buzzed with the realization that the tide of battle might be turning. In the midst of the frenzied space battle, moments of individual heroism emerged like beacons. A young pilot, barely out of training, executed an audacious dive towards a massive enemy cruiser. With a deft maneuver that defied his inexperience, he managed to plant an explosive charge onto the hull, sending the enemy vessel spiraling into a brilliant death spiral of fire and debris. On another front, seasoned veterans doggedly protected the retreat of a crucial supply convoy carrying the Aurora core prototypes, a relic of Earth's forgotten technological might, ensuring that even in the chaos, hope and innovation were not lost. As the battle raged on, the alien warships began to falter. Their formations, once precise and menacing, showed signs of disarray under the relentless human counterattacks. The unified, albeit desperate, response of Earth's military and civilian fighters was more than a mere defense. It was an assertion of identity. Humanity was no longer the easy target of cosmic bullies. Every burst of energy, every sacrificed life, was a testament to the resolve that had been hidden beneath the label of weakness for far too long. In a private moment amid the storm, Commander Trent reviewed live feeds of the unfolding conflict. The faces of the pilots, each lit by the glow of determination and fear, reminded him that every soul fighting in that battle was a part of a collective awakening. "We are not defined by our past failures," he murmured to himself, his gaze fixed on the rapidly changing battlefield. "Tonight, we write a new chapter, a declaration that we will rise from the ashes of despair and forge a future where our spirit cannot be broken." The alien onslaught was far from over, and as the chaos continued to unfold among the stars, a palpable energy of rebellion surged through the ranks. In that moment of defiant resistance, every spark of laser fire, every maneuver executed at the edge of survival, became a statement. Humanity was not going to cower in the face of overwhelming odds. It was ready to unleash its hidden potential, transforming scars into armor and weakness into a rallying cry. The battle above New London was just the beginning. A spark had been ignited that would set the cosmos ablaze with the fury and indomitable will of a people long underestimated. And as the alien fleet wavered under the relentless barrage of human ingenuity and courage, a new era of defiance was born in the heart of rebellion. Deep in the frozen heart of Antarctica, far beneath layers of ice and time, a secret bunker lay hidden, a relic of an era when Earth's ancestors dared to dream of harnessing the very forces of the cosmos. Dr. Elena Miles led her small team through narrow, frost-bitten corridors where each step stirred up echoes of a forgotten past. The bunker's ancient walls were etched with intricate carvings and schematics that defied modern understanding, a silent library of lost technology waiting to be rediscovered. Elena's breath plumed in the frigid air as she carefully brushed away centuries of accumulated dust from a massive metal door. Beyond lay a vast chamber, dimly lit by the glow of embedded luminescent crystals. In the center of the chamber, partially encased in protective layers of crystalline alloys and mysterious polymers, rested an artifact known only in whispered legends as the Aurora core. The object pulsed with an ethereal light, its surface alive with swirling patterns reminiscent of the northern lights, a mesmerizing dance of energy that hinted at powers long dormant. With trembling fingers, Elena activated her portable data interface and began scanning the carvings that surrounded the core. Streams of ancient code and complex symbols cascaded onto her device, revealing schematics that spoke of a technology capable of converting ambient cosmic energy into a force field of unparalleled strength. "This is no mere relic," she murmured, awe mingling with excitement. "It's a reservoir of untapped power, a blueprint for awakening a strength that lies dormant within us all." High above the icy wasteland, on Earth's orbital command station, Commander Marcus Trent pored over real-time battle feeds. Even amid the chaos of a relentless alien assault, his thoughts often wandered back to the mysterious transmission that had ignited a spark of hope across human defenses. Now, as Elena's findings streamed in, he realized that the key to overturning centuries of underestimation might lie hidden in this long-forgotten technology. Her discovery was a clarion call, a promise that Earth's true potential was yet to be unleashed. In a hastily convened war room, Trent and his top scientists studied Elena's transmission. The holographic projections of the ancient schematics filled the room, illuminating a design that merged natural energy flows with advanced materials. "This technology mirrors the auroras themselves," Trent observed, his voice resonant with cautious optimism. "It's as if our ancestors learned to capture the very heartbeat of the cosmos." The room fell silent as every mind in attendance grasped the magnitude of the revelation. Here was proof that Earth's legacy was not one of weakness, but of ingenious resilience. Back in the subterranean depths of the bunker, Elena and her team transformed a forgotten laboratory into a crucible of innovation. By the flicker of emergency lamps, they carefully extracted fragments of ancient materials and began to piece together a working prototype of what they dubbed Project Prometheus. Every measured pulse from the Aurora core was meticulously recorded as they experimented with configurations designed to channel the artifact's raw energy safely into modern circuits. The process was fraught with peril. One miscalculation could trigger a catastrophic overload, but each setback deepened their understanding of the delicate balance required to harness such a formidable force. The lab soon filled with a low, steady hum as early prototypes flickered to life. Panels on the walls glowed with shifting colors that mirrored the core's undulating energy, and a series of sensors registered a rhythmic pulse that seemed almost organic. "Look at that," whispered Matteo, a young engineer whose eyes shone with wonder. "It's like the core is communicating with us, showing us the way." Elena smiled, recalling a lesson from her mentor. In every failure lies a lesson, and in every spark of ancient wisdom, there is the promise of rebirth. As the days bled into nights, marked only by the soft, persistent glow of experimental machinery, the team began to decipher the core's cryptic messages. They discovered that the energy it harbored was not merely a raw power source. It was a catalyst that could amplify the latent potential of any system it touched. The prototype, though rudimentary, demonstrated that the auroral energy could be integrated with modern defense arrays, potentially transforming Earth's battered infrastructure into a bastion of renewable strength. With each breakthrough, Elena's conviction grew. She composed a detailed report and transmitted her findings to Commander Trent. "We stand at the threshold of a new dawn," she declared in her message, her voice a blend of exhaustion and exhilaration. "The forgotten power of our ancestors is awakening. Through the Aurora core, we have the means to convert our scars into shields and our past into a promise of invincibility." Her words resonated through the command channels, reaching ears hardened by conflict, yet softened by the hope of redemption. Even as the war raged above, the quiet revolution beneath the Antarctic ice was reshaping humanity's future. The Aurora core, with its mesmerizing dance of light and energy, symbolized not only an ancient legacy, but also the indomitable will of a people ready to cast off the shackles of imposed frailty. In that secret, frozen chamber, a promise was forged. A promise that the strength of humanity lay not in the absence of scars, but in the courage to transform them into the very armor of survival. In that transformative moment, as Project Prometheus inched closer to fruition, the world above braced for the next phase of conflict. Unbeknownst to the alien invaders, Earth was awakening a power long thought lost, a power that would redefine the very notion of resilience. The core's gentle, persistent pulse was a heartbeat of rebirth. echoing the enduring truth that within the ashes of past failures lay the seeds of an unstoppable future. The fragile veneer of Earth's past vulnerability was about to shatter beneath the weight of an enemy that had grown complacent in its arrogance. With the Aurora Core's power humming in the background of every fighter's engine and every command station's sensor, humanity's newly awakened spirit was ready to take center stage. As the alien armada reassembled for a decisive strike, every soul aboard Earth's fleet felt the weight and the promise of their ancestors' forgotten legacy. In the void of space, the dreadnought Oblivion loomed like a dark monolith, its angular silhouette cutting an imposing figure against a tapestry of distant stars. This vessel, the pride of the invaders, was to be the symbol of Earth's final submission, a trophy to brand humanity as nothing more than an easy target. But tonight, the tide was set to turn. Aboard the retrofitted battleship Vanguard, Commander Marcus Trent surveyed the unfolding chaos from his command chair. The bridge, aglow with holographic battle maps and pulsing energy lines drawn from the Aurora Core integration, thrummed with a focused intensity. "All units, this is it." Trent's voice echoed through the intercom, resolute and unwavering. "We fight not only for our survival, but for our identity. Tonight, we redefine what it means to be human." Lieutenant Rena Santos, seated at her tactical console in the fighter wing, felt her heart pound in synchrony with the ship's rhythmic thrusters. Her squadron, pilots whose faces were lit by the vibrant glow of their displays, had been reinvigorated by the knowledge that their every maneuver was powered by something far greater than technology. It was powered by the unyielding human spirit. "Remember," she called out, her voice steady over the comm, "we're not fighting as individuals. We're fighting as the embodiment of Earth's resilience. Show them who we are." With that, her fighters surged forward, darting through the chaos of space like streaks of living light. Swarms of human starfighters, their hulls charged with auroral energy, twisted and turned in a dazzling ballet of combat. They danced between shards of debris and streams of plasma, their agile maneuvers a stark contrast to the monolithic presence of enemy warships. Each shot they fired, each deft evasion of incoming fire was a declaration of defiance, a claim on the very narrative that had once branded them as weak. On the outskirts of the battle, the sleek, deadly lines of the alien destroyers began to splinter under the concentrated fire of Earth's renewed offensive. The invaders' meticulously maintained formations wavered, as if unsure whether to persist in their arrogance or yield to the surging tide of human ingenuity. In a brilliant display of coordinated strategy, a young pilot named Eric, barely more than a hopeful cadet, piloted his fighter into a daring head-on run. With a combination of raw skill and the serendipitous synergy offered by the Aurora Core, Eric managed to breach the enemy's shield matrix. His missile found its target deep within the core of a destroyer, and the explosion that followed was both a physical and symbolic rupture in the enemy line. The bridge of the Vanguard erupted in a mixture of cheers and relieved sighs as energy readings confirmed the destruction. Yet for Commander Trent, there was no time for jubilation. His mind was already on the next phase of the assault, a daring maneuver to isolate the Oblivion from its supporting fleet. "Lieutenant Santos, prepare a diversion," he ordered, his eyes locked on the central command display. "We're going to draw their fire away from the flagship and strike at its vulnerabilities." Rena's response was immediate and resolute. "Understood, Commander. I'm mobilizing my wing. We'll make sure their attention is solely on us." Her voice, brimming with determination, carried across the channel as she initiated a series of decoy protocols, sending out false signals and erratic flight paths to mislead enemy sensors. As human fighters surged forward in a premeditated sacrificial attack, the alien warships were forced to divide their focus. Amid the ensuing confusion, Commander Trent steered the Vanguard into a narrow corridor between enemy vessels. The ship's deflector shields, now enhanced by the experimental energy matrix from Project Prometheus, glowed with a spectral luminescence as they absorbed and redistributed the enemy's assault. Each collision of laser fire and energy pulse resonated with the collective heartbeat of a civilization refusing to be defined by its past. In one particularly intense moment, an enemy cruiser zeroed in on the Vanguard. Its high-energy plasma cannons began to fire in a relentless barrage. With milliseconds to spare, Trent's tactical team initiated a countermeasure, a sudden surge of the Aurora-enhanced shield that burst outward like a radiant phoenix, deflecting the incoming fire in a dazzling cascade of sparks. For those few precious moments, the Vanguard shone like a beacon of defiance amidst the dark void of space. This battle was more than a military engagement. It was a crucible in which the very soul of humanity was being forged. Every explosion, every burst of energy, and every act of sacrificial heroism contributed to a new narrative. No longer was humanity simply a collection of flawed, embattled survivors. They were now a living testament to the idea that strength is not the absence of scars, but the courage to bear them and rise above. As the oblivion wavered under the relentless onslaught, the alien commanders began to understand that the Earth they once dismissed was now a force that defied all expectations. Every fighter piloted with unyielding resolve, every soldier and engineer whose blood and sweat had gone into the creation of this renewed defense, had transformed the battlefield into an arena where identity was not given, but earned. And in that arena, the human spirit, once buried beneath layers of despair and misjudgment, had emerged as an unstoppable tide. In that moment, as the cosmos watched in silent witness, the battle for identity reached its fevered pitch. Earth was no longer the weak, beleaguered planet of old. Instead, every starfighter and every missile, every command and every sacrifice was a declaration. Humanity was ready to claim its rightful place among the stars, scars now the very symbols of its unbreakable will. Even as the blazing front lines roared with the fury of battle, a darker war was unfolding in the hidden corridors of interstellar power. Behind the dazzling chaos of energy weapons and heroic dogfights, whispers of betrayal and manipulation rippled through the ranks of Earth's defenders. The notion of humanity's inherent frailty, a narrative that had long been forced upon them by galactic elites, was beginning to crumble under the weight of clandestine revelations. In a secluded wing of the Eclipse command station, Commander Marcus Trent pored over intercepted transmissions with a furrowed brow. The streams of alien chatter, laced with cryptic references and veiled threats, hinted at a conspiracy far more insidious than a simple assault on Earth. "It's as if our weakness was preordained," he murmured, his voice heavy with suspicion. "Someone has been feeding them the illusion we're easy prey." At the same time, Dr. Elena Miles sat in her cramped lab deep beneath the Antarctic ice, the gentle hum of Project Prometheus equipment a steady counterpoint to the chaos outside. As she reviewed ancient schematics of the Aurora core, Elena's mind began to trace unexpected connections between forgotten Earth technologies and recent alien communications. In hushed tones over a secure channel, she confided, "Marcus, I've uncovered fragments of data suggesting that our legacy of supposed frailty was orchestrated, engineered even. There are patterns in these transmissions that point to a coalition manipulating perceptions across the galaxy." Driven by a need for answers, Trent mobilized a select team of trusted officers and defecting alien operatives who shared a common cause, to peel back the layers of deception and expose the puppeteers behind Earth's tarnished reputation. Their rendezvous was set in an abandoned space station orbiting a dead star, a relic from a bygone era now serving as a clandestine meeting point. The station's corridors, draped in silence and the dust of forgotten time, would soon bear witness to alliances forged in secrecy. In a dimly lit chamber within the station, a motley group gathered. The tension was palpable, trust was a luxury, and betrayal a constant shadow. Among the assembled were human intelligence officers, disillusioned members of rival alien factions, and covert agents whose loyalty was as fragile as the flickering lights overhead. A grizzled ex-diplomat from the Cygnus cluster, his eyes carrying the weight of past transgressions, began, "For too long, our adversaries have thrived on sowing discord. They painted us as weak to keep us off balance, ensuring we would never unite against their true masters. As the meeting unfolded, fragments of intelligence were laid bare. Recorded communiques stolen from secure alien channels revealed a deliberate campaign to demonize Earth. By amplifying every setback and misstep from humanity's past, an alliance of secretive species had spread a narrative that not only isolated Earth, but made it a convenient scapegoat for broader galactic conflicts. The plot was staggering. Powerful factions had invested in manufacturing evidence, intercepting communications, and even staging minor provocations, all to brand humanity as nothing more than a feeble, fractured people. Lieutenant Rena Santos, who had earned her stripes in the heat of battle, listened intently to the revelations relayed via encrypted holofeed. So while we were busy fighting off assaults, they were busy scripting our identity, she said, her tone a mix of anger and resolve. They built a myth of weakness to justify their own ambitions. And if we can expose this deception, it might turn the tide, not just on the battlefield, but in the hearts and minds of every sentient species. The revelation sent shockwaves through the gathering. Each participant, whether human or alien, realized that their struggle was not merely a fight for survival, but a quest for truth and justice. In the meeting's aftermath, the conspirators mapped out a daring plan. They would trace the origins of the propaganda, a labyrinth of secret interstellar trade routes, concealed data caches, and backroom dealings in cosmic bazaars. Every coded message, every intercepted order would be scrutinized to reveal the hidden hand that had branded Earth as weak. Back on Earth's battered orbit, the information began to seep into higher command echelons. Commander Trent, while directing the ongoing battle, issued orders to allocate a discreet team to follow the trail of deception. The mission was delicate: infiltrate high-security facilities of suspected puppet masters, gather incontrovertible evidence, and broadcast the truth to the galaxy. It was an undertaking as perilous as any frontline engagement, for the enemy was now not just a marauding fleet, but a sophisticated network of intrigue. Within the depths of the abandoned station, alliances were solidified with whispered oaths and handshakes sealed in the darkness. The Cygnus diplomat, his weathered face set in grim determination, shared intelligence on secret meetings held in the shadow of forgotten nebulae, meetings where the fate of entire worlds was decided in hushed conspiracies. A defecting alien strategist detailed how subtle shifts in interstellar trade, engineered by those in power, had gradually eroded Earth's standing. Each piece of evidence painted a picture of a galaxy manipulated by greed and fear. As the conspirators planned their next moves, Elena Miles remained engrossed in her own investigation. Late into the long polar nights, she deciphered ancient texts that hinted at the true nature of the Aurora Core, a power not merely for defense, but a beacon capable of unifying disparate forces. This relic, she wrote in her encrypted journal, could be the key to not only safeguarding Earth, but to proving that strength lies in our unity. We must use it to expose the lies that have held us captive for so long. By the time the clandestine meeting adjourned, the seeds of revolution had been sown. The Alliance, a coalition forged in the crucible of shared betrayal, prepared to strike back not only on the battlefield, but in the realms of perception and power. Every agent, every informant, carried with them the knowledge that the battle for Earth's identity was far from over. In the shadows, where whispers mingled with coded transmissions, the truth was gathering momentum. The final phase was set into motion. A coordinated cyber assault on the secret communications hubs of the Shadow Coalition was planned, a digital blitz that would lay bare their machinations to the entire galaxy. The truth, once revealed, would shatter the carefully constructed myth of Earth's weakness and unmask the true architects of subterfuge. And in that revelation, humanity would not only reclaim its honor, but ignite a spark that could unite countless species in a struggle for genuine freedom. In the murky depths of interstellar intrigue, as the battle lines shifted from lasers to lies, one thing was clear. The real war was waged in the corridors of power and information. And in that silent war, the courage to seek and expose the truth was the greatest weapon of all. In the wake of revelations that the narrative of Earth's weakness had been meticulously engineered by unseen puppet masters, Commander Marcus Trent knew that the fight for humanity's honor was not one that could be waged alone. The war raging in space had exposed a sinister web of manipulation, a system that had exploited distrust and isolation to keep countless species divided. In response, Earth's leaders turned their eyes outward, seeking allies among those who, too, had suffered under the yoke of oppression. A neutral space station, known as the Concorde, orbited a desolate, windswept moon at the fringes of disputed space. Once a thriving hub of interstellar trade, its cavernous halls now served as the meeting ground for emissaries and envoys from across the galaxy. The station's corridors, lined with relics of a bygone era and illuminated by soft bioluminescent panels, bore silent testimony to the hope that had brought these unlikely partners together. At precisely 2200 Galactic Standard Hours, a sleek transport shuttle from Earth docked at the Concorde. Stepping off were human envoys clad in battle-worn uniforms and bearing the unmistakable air of resolute determination. At their head was Ambassador Daniel Reyes, a seasoned diplomat whose eyes had seen both the horrors of war and the promise of peace. His mission was clear: to forge bonds with those who, like humanity, had been cast aside and mislabeled as weak by powers that thrived on division. Waiting in a grand chamber, overlooking a panoramic viewport of shimmering nebulae, was Ambassador Lyra of Nereus, an aquatic world known for its deep-sea wisdom and resilience. Her translucent skin and graceful, fluid movements evoked the ebb and flow of ocean tides. As she greeted the human delegation with a nod of measured respect, her voice, both soothing and resolute, filled the chamber. "We have all suffered under the lies of those who would see us broken. Today we stand together to reclaim our true strength." Surrounding Ambassador Lyra were other representatives. Jarketh of the Ember clans from the desert world of Arkesh, whose scaled features and smoldering eyes betrayed both the heat of his homeland and the enduring fire of rebellion. And Selrin, a lithe envoy from the airy realm of Oryx, whose wings had long carried her people to safety amidst swirling storms of political intrigue. Each delegate bore scars of ancient conflicts and whispered tales of betrayal, but also an unyielding desire to rise above imposed limitations. In the softly lit chamber, tension gave way to earnest dialogue. Ambassador Reyes spoke first, his tone measured yet impassioned. "For too long, our respective worlds have been pitted against one another by those who profit from our division. The myth of inherent weakness was carefully cultivated, not by fate, but by the calculated machinations of a hidden elite. We stand here to expose those lies and to forge a future where our combined strengths build a new order, one founded on unity, mutual respect, and shared purpose." Lyra's eyes glimmered with a mix of hope and sorrow. "My people have been forced into the depths, both literally and metaphorically, while others above us feasted on power. We now see that this subjugation was a ploy, a way to keep us from rising. But when the currents of oppression are met by the unstoppable force of unity, even the deepest waters can surge forth in a mighty tide." As discussions deepened, the Alliance's agenda began to take shape. Intelligence gleaned from covert operations and intercepted communications had laid bare the intricate tapestry of lies woven by the puppet masters. Detailed maps of secret trade routes, hidden supply caches, and encrypted command networks were unfurled on a holographic display. Jarketh's gravelly voice broke the silence. "They have manipulated every crisis, every battle, to keep us in perpetual disarray. But together, our combined knowledge and technology can dismantle their control grid." Selrin, her wings folding gracefully as she stepped forward, added, "My people have mastered the art of swift aerial maneuvers and rapid communication across vast distances. We can work alongside Earth's advanced signal disruptors and the ancient power of the Aurora core to shatter their encrypted networks and reveal the truth to the entire galaxy." Over the course of long hours, the envoys debated strategy, shared painful memories of lost kin, and slowly began to bridge the chasms created by years of enforced isolation. Practical proposals merged with idealistic visions, coordinated cyber assaults on communication hubs, joint military drills combining human ingenuity with alien tactics, and cultural exchanges aimed at erasing the prejudices that had once pitted them against one another. When it came time to formalize their intentions, Ambassador Reyes proposed a symbolic ritual, a merging of emblems from each participant's world, representing the interlocking destinies of once fractured peoples. One by one, each envoy placed a token upon a crystalline dais, a water pearl from Nereus, a blazing ember from Arkesh, a shimmering feather from Oryx, and a polished piece of Earth's own heritage. As the tokens converged, the crystalline surface flared to life, projecting a radiant mosaic of light that danced across the chamber's walls. In that moment, every participant felt the weight of history lift, replaced by the exhilaration of a shared future. Lyra's voice resonated softly. Let this alliance be our beacon, a light to guide all who have been misled by darkness. United, we shall defy those who have long sought to keep us in the shadows, and together we will rebuild a galaxy founded on truth and mutual respect. The meeting concluded with the signing of the Pact of Concord, a treaty that bound the disparate species to a common purpose. In a stirring exchange of final words, each delegate pledged their people's support, not only in the impending military campaigns, but also in a broader struggle to reshape interstellar society. As envoys departed with new determination and channels of communication opened across star systems, the Alliance's formation marked a turning point. Back on Earth, Commander Trent received the news with cautious optimism. The formation of the Alliance of the Unlikely was more than a political maneuver. It was a declaration that the myth of inherent weakness had no place in a united galaxy. With the combined forces of Earth and its newfound allies, the stage was set for a counteroffensive that would strike at the heart of the puppet master's deception. As the delegates dispersed from the Concorde, the silent corridors of the space station hummed with the promise of a future reimagined, a future where the oppressed would rise together to forge a galaxy defined not by division, but by the indomitable strength of unity. The Allied fleet had converged on its most formidable target, the orbital station Tyr, a dark bastion that served as the secret capital of the Shadow Cabal. This station, once a symbol of oppression and meticulous control, now loomed as the final barrier between the liberated forces and a future free of deceit. Every ship in the Allied armada, from battered human cruisers to the sleek vessels of Nereus and the rugged warships of Arkesh, moved with a singular purpose: to shatter the enemy's command and expose the truth behind the ancient lies. Aboard the flagship Vanguard, Commander Marcus Trent studied the holographic map of Tyr's defenses. The station was ensconced within a labyrinth of automated turrets and energy shields powered by stolen technologies and augmented by the corrupted legacy of the puppet masters. "This is our crucible," Trent said, his voice resonating with determination over the comlink. "Every sacrifice we make today, every risk we take, will redefine who we are. We forge our destiny here and now." Lieutenant Rena Santos, commanding a squadron of Aurora-enhanced fighters, responded with equal fervor. "Our diversions have drawn their main fire. Now is the moment to break through, maintain formation, and prepare for precision strikes on their weak points." Her calm authority and unyielding resolve steadied her pilots as they threaded through cascades of enemy fire. Explosions blossomed in the vacuum of space, vivid bursts of light and energy that illuminated the dark expanse and marked the passage of a relentless war. The battle erupted into a tempest of motion and light. Allied ships maneuvered with breathtaking agility, their paths weaving in and out of enemy lines. A young pilot, Eric, a symbol of human tenacity, engaged in a dogfight that took him perilously close to the burning hull of a derelict enemy vessel. His craft, scarred yet defiant, wove between streams of plasma and shards of debris. His every maneuver a testament to courage in the face of overwhelming odds. "I won't let this be the end," he murmured into his comm as his vessel surged forward, powered by the very essence of the Aurora core. His words reverberated among his comrades like a rallying cry. Meanwhile, in the corridors of Tyr itself, a parallel struggle was unfolding. A specialized boarding party composed of elite human marines and defectors from the enemy ranks had beamed down to infiltrate the station's heart. Their objective was to dismantle the central communications hub, a nerve center whose collapse would send shockwaves through the enemy's command structure. The team moved cautiously through narrow passageways, illuminated only by flickering emergency lights and the spectral glow of malfunctioning consoles. In the eerie silence, every footstep was a reminder of the stakes. The freedom of countless worlds depended on the success of this mission. Deep within the station, the enemy's leadership clung to power with desperate resolve. The Regent, a gaunt, shadowed figure whose authority had been built on centuries of manipulation, watched in growing alarm as Allied forces advanced. "Concentrate all fire on the vanguard," he bellowed through static-riddled channels, his voice betraying the tremors of his crumbling regime. Yet even as his orders rang out, the combined might of the Allied fleet was too potent to be contained. Shields, now augmented by the resonant energy of the Aurora core, shimmered and deflected relentless volleys of plasma. The Regent's commands fell on deaf ears as chaos reigned. Back in the command center of Vanguard, Commander Trent coordinated with his officers. "Lieutenant Santos, initiate the diversion protocol on my mark. We'll draw their attention away from our boarding teams." His strategic vision was clear: disrupt the enemy's coordination, then strike at the core. As Santos fighters fanned out in a dazzling array of evasive maneuvers, the enemy formation began to splinter. In that fleeting moment, the tide of battle shifted. The Allied fleet surged forward like a tidal wave, shattering the final barricades of Tyr's outer defenses. Inside the station's labyrinthine corridors, the boarding party encountered pockets of fierce resistance. In one tense skirmish, Commander Trent found himself face to face with a cadre of enemy officers. Amid clashing energy blades and the harsh clatter of close combat, he bellowed, "Your reign of deceit ends here. Today we reclaim our destiny." His words ignited a fury in his team, and they fought with a collective might that blurred the lines between individual valor and a unified spirit born from generations of suffering. Across the battlefield, the diversity of the Alliance shone through. A squadron of Nereus fighters, whose bioluminescent hulls pulsed like living jewels in the void, rushed to provide cover for the human vessels. Ambassador Lara, having traded diplomatic robes for a specialized combat suit, coordinated real-time tactical adjustments with her people. "Our unity is our strength," she declared, her voice resonating across every channel. "Let our enemies witness the power of a united galaxy." Her words were met with determined nods and unwavering resolve, further galvanizing the Allied forces. In a final, dramatic crescendo, the flagship Vanguard broke through the inner perimeter of Tyr. With a carefully orchestrated boarding party beaming into the central control chamber, the Allied forces delivered the decisive blow. The station's command nexus flickered and faltered as the combined might of human innovation and alien resolve overwhelmed its defenses. In a cascade of sparks and collapsing circuits, Tyr's dark grip on the galaxy began to crumble. In the aftermath, silence descended over the wreckage, a momentary stillness that allowed the Allied soldiers to comprehend the enormity of their victory. Standing amid the shattered remnants of Tyr's control center, Commander Trent surveyed the scene. His uniform was stained with the marks of battle, and yet his eyes shone with a fierce pride. Around him, soldiers from every corner of the Alliance, humans, aquatic beings from Nereus, desert warriors from Arkesh, and agile sky sailors from Oryx, stood shoulder to shoulder, united by the scars of war and the promise of a brighter future. As the enemy's last echoes of resistance faded, the forces began to regroup. Commander Trent's voice, filled with solemn determination, cut through the quiet. "Today we have forged our destiny in the fires of adversity. Every sacrifice, every moment of valor has led us to this turning point. Our unity has shattered the chains of oppression. But let us not forget, the battle for true freedom continues beyond this victory. In that crucible of destiny, every soul present recognized that their struggle was far from over. Yet, in that moment of hard-won triumph, hope burned brighter than ever. The victory at Tyr was not just a military success, it was the symbolic reclamation of identity, a powerful declaration that strength is born from unity, sacrifice, and the unwavering determination to redefine one's destiny. In the aftermath of Tyr's collapse, the silence in the void was almost as deafening as the battle had been. The once dreaded enemy bastion now lay in ruin, its shattered circuits and cooling metal a testament to the Allied onslaught. Commander Marcus Trent stood on the bridge of the Vanguard, his gaze sweeping over the sprawling debris field, each fragment a relic of the oppression that had long haunted the galaxy. For a long moment, he allowed himself the rare luxury of stillness, a pause to reflect on the hard-won victory that had come at such great cost. Across the battlefield, the Allied fleet was gathering for one final defining act. Ships from Earth, Nereus, Arkesh, and Oryx now formed a silent armada around the debris of Tyr. From long-range sensors, fleets of defeated alien vessels drifted like broken puppets in space. Their engines were dark, their once mighty formations reduced to scattered remnants of a regime that had manipulated the galaxy for too long. Yet, even in defeat, the alien commanders sent out emissaries, delegations that approached with cautious, trembling respect. On the Vanguard's main deck, a temporary command center had been established. The chamber, bathed in the soft glow of holo displays and the subdued hum of vital systems, was filled with representatives of every allied species. Amidst them, Commander Trent's calm authority bridged the chasm between victory and peace. His voice, measured and resonant, filled the room as he addressed the assembly. "Today we stand as the inheritors of a legacy forged in hardship and courage," he declared. "Our victory is not an excuse for further bloodshed, but a responsibility to rebuild. We have earned the right to show mercy, not out of weakness, but because we have risen above it." As his words settled over the room like a benediction, a delegation from the enemy's high command, led by a gaunt and weary envoy known only as Regent Serac, stepped forward. His eyes, heavy with defeat and regret, met Trent's steely gaze. "We come not as conquerors, but as supplicants," Serac announced, his voice quivering. "We have long believed in our superiority, but now, faced with the indomitable will of those we sought to control, we seek your mercy. Our actions have sown discord and despair, and we wish to atone." The room murmured with a mix of relief and lingering suspicion. Lieutenant Rena Santos, standing by Trent's side, exchanged a look with him, a silent conversation of triumph and caution. It was a moment that encapsulated the essence of humanity's journey, from a people scorned and dismissed to a force that now commanded respect across the stars. Yet, as the envoys presented their plea, it was clear that this mercy was not a gift freely given. It was the culmination of struggle, sacrifice, and the hard lessons of war. Over the next several hours, the Allied leaders convened in a series of urgent councils, negotiating the terms of a new order. Delegations from former enemy factions and allied species debated the future of the galaxy with a raw honesty born of shared suffering. They discussed reparations, the dismantling of the Shadow Cabal's networks, and most critically, a promise to rebuild interstellar relations on the foundation of mutual trust. Ambassador Lyra of Nereus, her voice soft but unyielding, spoke passionately. "We extend our mercy not as a weakness, but as a symbol of our commitment to a better future. Today, let this mercy be a bridge, not a barrier, to a galaxy united." But even as words of reconciliation filled the Grand Assembly, not every faction was ready to forgive. Hardliners within the Allied ranks argued that such mercy might only invite future treachery. Jarketh of Arkesh, his voice deep and rumbling like distant thunder, warned, "Mercy must be measured with vigilance. Let our forgiveness be conditional, tethered to accountability and a steadfast commitment to change." His words, though stern, underscored a collective resolve. The new order would be built not on naive absolution, but on the firm ground of justice and reform. In the midst of these debates, Commander Trent's message rang clear. "We have suffered the consequences of hatred and division for far too long," he said, addressing the assembly once more. "Our mercy today is not an act of charity. It is an assertion of our strength and wisdom. We have seen what unity can achieve, and we will not allow history to repeat its mistakes. Let our actions here set a precedent, a testament to the power of compassion tempered by responsibility." As the hours wore on, accords were drafted and agreements sealed with the exchange of emblems and tokens. A water pearl from Nereus, a blazing ember from Arkesh, a shimmering feather from Oryx, and a reclaimed relic from Earth. Each token was more than a symbol. It was a promise that the scars of the past would serve as lessons for the future. The holographic display in the command center flared to life one final time, projecting a radiant mosaic that blended the colors and symbols of all allied races, a beacon of hope in the dark reaches of space. In that final moment of the gathering, as the myriad voices of the galaxy found a tentative harmony, humanity's transformation was complete. Once branded as weak and insignificant, Earth now stood as a paragon of resilience and justice. The plea for mercy had been met not with blind compassion, but with a firm and measured response that balanced forgiveness with accountability. Standing at the helm of this new era, Commander Trent allowed himself a brief, satisfied smile. The journey from a scorned outpost to a beacon of interstellar unity had been long and arduous, but as the assembled delegates departed with newfound resolve and the shattered remnants of tyranny drifted away into oblivion, one truth remained undeniable. True strength lies not in domination or fear, but in the courage to rebuild, forgive, and forge a future where every species can thrive together. The stars, silent witnesses to this historic turning point, shimmered overhead, a reminder that even in the vast emptiness of space, the light of unity can outshine the darkest of legacies.